Bob Hodem here with the Alternative Board Miami Valley, and this morning I have Justin Rankin, a client of ours with the Tab Boards for a little over 3 years. Justin is part owner of a company called the Hard Media Group. Good to have you this morning, Justin.
Great to be here.
Just remind people, you've been on our informational videos before, remind people what the Hard Media Group does.
Yeah, Our Media Group is a social media solutions-based business. So we do everything from advertising to organic posting to recruiting. If it's done on social, we're doing it.
Okay. In fact, the very fact that we're here recording, one of your videographers is here doing the work for us.
Absolutely.
Precisely. Well, Justin, I know that we've been talking to a number of business owners about social media and how it sort of really, I don't know if transition is the correct word, but came crashing in, down, sideways, whatever, in 2020. What was your observations as related to social media, especially as everybody Zoomed, go to meeting, moved home, that sort of stuff? What were some of your observations?
First thing was the flood, right? So people had more time on their hands. People were working from home. People were laid off. So that initial impact was we saw the most content we've ever seen flood into those spaces.
I love that flood. I hadn't thought of that before. Yeah.
It just washed in, right? And honestly, as we continue to see these changes in 2021, people getting back to work, the vaccines getting out into the workforce, we're starting to see that water or that flood withdrawal.
We recede a little bit.
Yeah, we're receding. So You're seeing less and less content being promoted, which is a great time for a lot of people to do the opposite and double down and get back in.
Okay.
Where we would have had a definitely a harder time being seen during that flood. Right now is a good time to get out there as people are getting more focused back into business.
Yeah. So also through 2020, how did you help your clients transition to be as positioned as well as they could be in that regard?
A couple different things. So we went from everything from launching podcasts with some of our guys to doing, upping their amount of social they were doing. We had to, of course, because we talked about that flood. So we went from, maybe 3 to 5 posts a week to 5 to 7. We started adding ads into the mix. Anything we had to do for a client, we basically just put that on steroids and just increased the amount we needed to increase to keep moving forward. Mm-hmm. That was the big thing we did. Some people didn't have an online presence, right, or a very little one. So what we did was we built one for those companies that realized that they might not be back in the office. They might not have the same marketing avenues that they had prior to 2020.
So you kind of gave them different ways to get in front of their prospects and customers because they couldn't necessarily stop at Panera and have a coffee with them.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So those people that had a presence, you added to the flood, and those people that didn't, you developed a presence for them.
Yep.
Perfect. Summarized it very well. Okay, we're in 2021 now. 2 or 3 tips you might give to the viewer here in terms of things they should be doing in social media, and what some best practices would be?
Yeah, number one is quality of the content. For a long period of time, you've heard just produce content, just produce content, just produce content. That's not going to be the case, I think, moving forward as people have gotten better and better and better at the content they're producing. They've brought in firms like ours who have specialized in that. People are understanding the complexities and what it takes to be successful there, whereas you could have been successful 2018, 2019 by just producing something.
Just throw something out.
Right? The day of the selfie video LinkedIn is kind of dead. You don't see it a lot anymore.
So higher quality as far as production values.
Yeah, that's the number one thing. You have to be producing some production quality out there, or people aren't going to engage with the content. It's an unfortunate nature of the beast. The other is definitely going to be video. More and more video, more and more video, more and more video. I think we're talking, we're expected to be around 80% video.
Really?
At social media.
Wow.
By the end of the year is kind of where they're, 70 to 80%. So you're going to have a ton of video going out there.
Okay.
As well as understanding some of these algorithms. They're always changing. LinkedIn's algorithms have continued to try to personalize that platform. So they've tried to do everything they can to keep you away from direct selling. They want you to add value to the platform.
Okay.
If you're not adding value, if your posts you're creating are salesy, they're just not going to get the viewership they should be getting.
So they're somehow through their algorithms depressing the viewership on those.
Right. It's not too hard to find out. You put in phone numbers, emails, those type of things. There's some sneaky, easy ways for them to grab onto that, as well as just overall engagement. Those posts that are salesy aren't going to get the kind of engagement something that adds value to the reader is going to get. So those are a couple of big ones.
Yeah, there are several social media platforms out there. I think new ones are showing up every day. For primarily the audience we're focused on, private business owners, are there better platforms to work with than others?
Yeah, so if you're B2B, I mean, I think the clear-cut choice is always going to be LinkedIn right now.
Okay.
We are seeing a little bit of that trend into Facebook, but nothing in comparison. If you're B2C, there's hands down, you absolutely need to be playing on on Instagram. I'm sorry. Instagram
Wow.
is booming for B2C.
And why is that?
It's visual. It's so visual. Everything's visual. There's not a lot of context to a lot of the pictures, and if there is, you actually have to spend some time, click, and go into it. Whereas the other platforms kind of utilize
In your face.
the caption prior to the
Cool.
photo.
Cool.
LinkedIn actually, or Instagram, if I keep doing that, Instagram actually even does the opposite. Photo, then your script. So the visualization of selling T-shirts or radios or whatever you're selling on there, that B2C platform is super strong.
Well, I see a lot of consumer companies on Facebook. Are you saying they shouldn't do that, or?
There's just some turmoil. A couple different things that are happening. It's going to affect Instagram to an extent, but with the iOS update that's coming through.
iOS. Update?
Yeah, sorry. So the Apple update coming through,
Okay.
which is going to
I had to
allow.
know it had to be Apple or Microsoft or something, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that Samsung will end up following suit as they always do, but currently Apple is going to allow their end users the ability to turn off targeted ads.
Ah.
So if that's done, it's going to make Facebook a little more irrelevant than it is now. I think Instagram will still do much better in the long run of those things.
Interesting.
It's going to be interesting. I think people inevitably will still turn their targeting back on because you're going to get ads one way or the other. Would you rather see ads you're interested in or random ads that are thrown your way?
Yeah.
So one of the two things is going to happen.
Well, I think an underlying tone of this conversation has been, as it relates to content, that a lot of people have been suffering from content fatigue, and that's why you're pushing the quality. Am I making a correct assumption?
100%.
Yeah.
Especially during that flood we talked about, when everyone's producing something, the quality really starts to stand out.
Yeah. Interesting. Any other final thoughts as far as social media in 2021 that our viewers might want to be cognizant of?
Too much isn't enough.
Too much is not enough.
There's no such thing. I think so many people are concerned with producing too much content, but with the current algorithms, I don't think that's ever going to be a problem. You need to be posting
But
daily.
so you're saying too much is not not critical. I mean, it's not going to depress, but it's got to be quality stuff.
Quality stuff. So if you're in the B2B market, you need to be getting a post out almost every day. And if you're in the B2C market, you should be getting something out 3, 4, 5 times a day.
Super. Well, good. Well, thanks for the feedback and thanks for the tips for our viewers today.
No problem.
Justin Rankin with the Hard Media Group and Bob Hoodham with the Alternative Board, Miami Valley.